The flickering gaslight of a forgotten street corner, a lone figure shrouded in shadow, a whisper carried on the wind. What if the most profound mysteries aren't found in ancient texts or distant galaxies, but within the intricate labyrinth of our own minds? What if the very fabric of our present is woven from threads spun in a past we barely remember, a past that silently orchestrates our choices, our struggles, and even our failures? Today, we embark on an investigation not into a cold case, but into the invisible patterns that shape our lives, patterns often born from the echoes of yesterday. Before we delve into the shadows of self-sabotage, consider subscribing to Invisible Patterns. Join our community as we unravel the intricate tapestry of human behavior, exploring the hidden forces that guide our decisions. Our story begins with Elijah, a man in his late 30s, whose life, to an outside observer, appears to be a series of near misses. He's intelligent, charming, and possesses a keen business acumen. Yet every time he stands on the precipice of significant success, an unseen hand seems to push him back, just shy of the summit. Elijah isn't aware of this hand. He attributes his setbacks to bad luck, external circumstances, or the unpredictable nature of the market. He believes he's a victim of circumstance, not a participant in his own undoing. Elijah's pattern is a familiar one. He secures a promising client, meticulously crafts a proposal, and then, inexplicably, misses a crucial deadline or overlooks a vital detail, causing the deal to collapse. He starts a new relationship, brimming with hope and genuine affection, only to find himself withdrawing, creating distance, or provoking arguments that inevitably lead to its demise. He embarks on a new fitness regimen, full of resolve, only to abandon it after a few weeks, citing a lack of time or motivation. These aren't isolated incidents, they are recurring themes, a silent symphony of self-sabotage playing on a loop. To understand Elijah's predicament, we must journey back to his childhood, to the foundational experiences that, like the bedrock beneath a towering skyscraper, silently support and direct its structure. Elijah grew up in a household marked by conditional love. His mother, Martha, a woman of sharp intellect and even sharper criticism, showered him with affection only when he achieved something remarkable. A perfect report card, a winning goal in a soccer match, a flawless piano recital. These were the currency of Martha's approval. Failure, however, was met with a chilling silence, a disappointed sigh, or a cutting remark that left Elijah feeling inadequate and unworthy. His father, Robert, was largely absent, both physically and emotionally, absorbed in his demanding career and detached from the emotional landscape of his family. Picture a young Elijah, perhaps 7 years old, beaming as he presents a drawing to his mother. Martha glances at it, her brow furrowed. "It's good, Elijah," she says, her tone flat, "but the tree is a bit crooked, isn't it? And why didn't you color in the sky completely?" The joy drains from Elijah's face, replaced by a familiar pang of disappointment. He learns, not explicitly, but through repeated experience, that his worth is tied to perfection and that even his best efforts might not be enough. This early conditioning, like a silent program running in the background, begins to dictate his internal responses to success and failure. As Elijah entered adolescence, this pattern solidified. He became a high achiever, driven by an unyielding need for external validation. The pursuit of perfection became his guiding principle, a shield against his mother's criticism and a desperate plea for her love. But beneath the veneer of success, a deep-seated fear festered. The fear of not being good enough, the fear of failure, and paradoxically, the fear of success itself. Why the fear of success? Because success, in his young mind, brought with it an unbearable pressure to maintain that perfection, to continually meet an impossible standard. The higher he climbed, the greater the fall, and the more intense the scrutiny. This fear manifested in subtle, often unconscious ways. When Elijah was on the cusp of a breakthrough, his subconscious mind, wired for protection, would initiate a series of defensive maneuvers. It wasn't a conscious decision to fail. It was an ingrained response, a protective mechanism honed over years of conditional love. The missed deadline, the provoked argument, the abandoned regimen. These were not acts of carelessness, but rather unconscious attempts to avoid the perceived threat of sustained success and the crushing weight of expectation that came with it. Consider the psychological phenomenon known as impostor syndrome. While not a clinical diagnosis, it describes the internal experience of believing that you are not as competent as others perceive you to be. Individuals with imposter syndrome often attribute their success to luck or chance rather than their own abilities. For Elijah, this was amplified by his childhood experiences. Each success, rather than reinforcing his self-worth, only deepened his anxiety. He felt like a fraud, constantly waiting for the moment when his perceived inadequacy would be exposed. This internal narrative that he was not truly deserving of his achievements became a powerful engine for self-sabotage. The invisible patterns of our past are not always about trauma in the conventional sense. Sometimes they are about unmet needs, unexpressed emotions, and the subtle yet profound messages we internalize during our formative years. For Elijah, the unmet need for unconditional love, combined with the constant pressure to be perfect, created a blueprint for self-sabotage. His internal conflict was a battle between his conscious desire for success and his unconscious fear of its implications. Let's examine a specific instance: Elijah's romantic relationships. He yearned for deep connection, for a partner who would see him, truly see him, beyond his accomplishments. Yet, every time a relationship deepened, he would inadvertently push his partner away. He might become overly critical or emotionally distant, or pick fights over trivial matters. Why? Because intimacy for Elijah brought with it vulnerability. And vulnerability in his childhood experience was met with judgment and withdrawal. To be truly seen, to be truly loved, meant risking the pain of rejection he had experienced as a child. His subconscious, in its misguided attempt to protect him from this perceived pain, would erect emotional barriers, sabotaging the very connection he craved. The cycle continued, a self-fulfilling prophecy. Each failed venture, each broken relationship reinforced his belief that he was inherently flawed, that he was destined for disappointment. This internal narrative, "I am not good enough," became a powerful filter through which he viewed the world and his place within it. He was trapped in a loop, repeating the same patterns, experiencing the same outcomes, all while genuinely believing he was trying his best to break free. The solution, if one can call it that, lies not in trying harder, but in looking inward. It requires a conscious effort to uncover these invisible patterns, to excavate the buried memories and emotional imprints that continue to dictate our present. It demands a willingness to acknowledge that our past is not a separate entity, but an integral part of who we are, shaping our perceptions, our beliefs, and our reactions. For Elijah, the journey of self-discovery began, as it often does, with a moment of profound frustration. After yet another failed business venture, he found himself staring at his reflection, the weariness in his eyes mirroring the exhaustion in his soul. He began to question the recurring nature of his setbacks. Was it truly just bad luck, or was there something deeper at play? This spark of curiosity, this willingness to look beyond superficial explanations, is the first step towards breaking free. He sought therapy, an environment where he could safely explore the landscape of his past. Through guided introspection, he began to connect the dots. He recalled the sting of his mother's criticism, the hollow ache of his father's absence. He started to understand how these early experiences had shaped his core beliefs about himself and his worth. He realized that his fear of not being good enough wasn't a recent development, but a deeply ingrained belief system that had been operating in the background for decades. One particularly poignant memory surfaced, a school play where young Elijah, tasked with a small but significant role, forgot his lines. His mother, Martha, instead of offering comfort, had expressed her disappointment openly. "I knew you'd mess it up, Elijah. You always do when it truly matters." The shame and humiliation of that moment, the feeling of being utterly exposed and inadequate, had etched itself onto his psyche. This memory, once buried, now served as a powerful key to understanding his current avoidance of high-stakes situations and his tendency to withdraw when success was within reach. His subconscious was, in a twisted way, protecting him from the perceived pain of public failure, a pain he had experienced acutely as a child. The process was not instantaneous, nor was it easy. It involved confronting uncomfortable truths, revisiting painful memories, and challenging deeply held beliefs. It required him to re-evaluate his relationship with his parents, not with judgment, but with understanding. He began to see his mother not as a malicious figure, but as a product of her own conditioning, a woman who likely believed she was pushing him to be his best, unaware of the emotional toll it was taking. Through this process, Elijah started to develop self-compassion. He learned to acknowledge his fears without judgment, to understand that his self-sabotaging behaviors were not signs of weakness, but deeply ingrained coping mechanisms that had once served a purpose. However maladaptive they had become, he began to practice self-acceptance, to understand that his worth was not contingent on external achievements or the approval of others. The shift was gradual, almost imperceptible at first. He started setting realistic goals, celebrating small victories, and learning to tolerate imperfection. When faced with a new opportunity, instead of immediately feeling the surge of anxiety, he would pause, acknowledge the fear, and then consciously choose a different response. He began to actively challenge the internal narrative that whispered, "You're not good enough." In his relationships, he learned to communicate his needs and fears more openly, rather than withdrawing or provoking conflict. He discovered that true intimacy wasn't about perfection, but about authenticity and shared vulnerability. He started to build relationships based on mutual respect and understanding, rather than the desperate need for external validation. Elijah's story is not unique. It is a microcosm of a universal human experience. Our past, with its triumphs and its traumas, its joys and its disappointments, profoundly shapes the architecture of our present. The invisible patterns forged in childhood continue to operate, often beneath the surface of our conscious awareness, dictating our choices, influencing our relationships, and ultimately shaping the trajectory of our lives. The journey to understanding and overcoming these patterns is a deeply personal one. It requires courage, introspection, and a willingness to confront the shadows within. But the reward is immense, the freedom to author your own story, to break free from the invisible chains of the past, and to live a life aligned with your true self, rather than a script written by forgotten echoes. The mystery, then, is not external, but internal. The detective is you, and the case file is your own life. Are you ready to investigate? Are you prepared to uncover the hidden truths that have been silently orchestrating your reality? The answers lie within the archives of your own history, waiting to be discovered. If the echoes of your past are creating patterns you wish to break, if you find yourself repeating cycles you don't fully understand, then perhaps it's time to shine a light on those invisible forces. This channel, Invisible Patterns, is dedicated to exploring these profound psychological landscapes. If you're ready to delve deeper into the intricate workings of the human mind, to unravel the mysteries of self-sabotage and unconscious behavior, subscribe now. Join our community of introspective individuals seeking clarity and profound understanding. Your journey towards self-discovery begins here. The journey we embark on together isn't about blaming the past. It's about understanding it. Not about dwelling on what was, but about liberating ourselves for what can be. Consider the metaphor of a river. Its current flows relentlessly forward, but its course is shaped by the landscape it has traveled, the rocks it has eroded, the valleys it has carved. In the same way, our lives are shaped by the emotional terrain of our past, but awareness changes everything. Once you see the pattern, you are no longer trapped inside it. You become the observer. And the moment you observe, you gain the power to choose differently. This is the work we do here. We explore the hidden architecture of behavior, the unconscious beliefs that shape your decisions, the emotional blueprints that define your reality, and most importantly, how to rewrite them. Are you ready to stop being a passive result of your past and become the conscious architect of your future? Then subscribe to Invisible Patterns, because your story isn't fixed. And the most powerful chapter hasn't been written yet.